Good evening. This special meeting of the Tomball ISD Board of Trustees is called to order at 8:33 p.m. Central Time. For the record, a quorum of the Board of Trustees is present. All trustees are in attendance tonight. Board, we do not have public comments on agenda items, and so we're going to get right to it. We'll now proceed with reports, and I'll turn the meeting over to Dr. Martha Salazar-Zamora, our Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pratt. This evening, I am very excited to bring to you a continuation of a conversation we've had over several years now as we continue to grow our very strong and robust Career and Technical Education, or CTE, program. This is a report of sorts and also a conversation about a little bit of where we've been, where we are, and where we'd like to go, considering all of the factors that go into play. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Michael Webb, our Chief Academic Officer, who will introduce other guests that will be speaking tonight. Dr. Webb.
All right, well, thank you very much. I'll do the report on our annual CTE report. I want to say them all also join me with the report. Bob Thompson also is here. You can see a little bit closer. We're going to answer some questions for you as well. But in this report, what you'll see really is the body of 15 years of work. We're going to talk about where we were in 2017, and then we're going to talk all the way to where we would like to be in 2032. The report will cover three main objectives. One, the CTE growth and the expansion, really since 2017, but what's also very important, this will also go over the results that we've seen with the program as well. I think it's very important to also understand the accountability refresh and how CTE is critical in the CCMR framework and how this is changing, even with this graduating class that we have in 2026. And then we'll conclude the report with a review, a visioning review of the future of CTE in our district.
My apologies, Dr. Webb. If you don't mind just pulling up a mic and speaking into it, we want to make sure that all of the words of wisdom that you're sharing are heard by anybody who might want to hear this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so to begin, I want to go right to our results, and which encompass the growth and the expansion that we have seen since 2017 in the program. Currently, we have 27 programs of study. We've added 63 CTE courses to the course catalog since 2021. Now we have a total of 128 courses in our catalog. This next point, half of the CTE courses that we have right now in our catalog have been added in the last 5 years. 50% of our courses have been added in the past 5 years. We now have 10 CTE dual credit, and then we have almost 6,000 IBCs earned also just since 2021. This next number is really important too. Of Tomball graduates, this is of all graduates last year. This is not just those kids participating in CTE, this is all graduates. 1 in 3 earned a completer status, plus an IBC upon graduation with the class of 2025. We are one of a handful of districts. Just recently, we were named a district of distinction from the CTAT Association. We received this distinction in 24-25, also in 25-26. This distinction, and again, back-to-back only for a handful of districts, looks at our enrollment rate in CTE courses, the expansion of CTE programs over that year, also our excellence and achievement. This is comparing the academic achievement of students enrolled in CTE compared to those kids who are not enrolled in CTE, and our overall academic achievement is higher for kids who are enrolled in CTE. But what is very important as a part of this distinction really requires us to articulate how do we collaborate with the community? How are we responsive to the work demands of our community? How are we responsive to the needs of our region in terms of industry and work? Our CTE advisory board now is made up of 140 members. We have a close partnership with the Chamber of the Chamber of Commerce as well as the Economic Development Corporation. This is a big number. I want you to write down this number that I'm going to turn to. This is a number. You can circle it, write it down. We're going to refer to this throughout the presentation, all the way through to our visioning. A 170% increase in our number of programs of study since 2017. We went from 10 programs of study now to 27 programs of study. We will be at 30 programs of study by the time we finish this presentation. 170% increase. That's the result of great leadership, Bob and Carla. That's a result of significant investment in the district. That's a result of recruitment from our counselors, and that's the result of retention from our teachers. But 170% increase in the programs of study is phenomenal. So now I'm going to pass it over to Carla.
Part of what we're required to do in career and technical education is to ensure that as we develop our programs of study, that they are a coherent sequence not only of courses, but they build a coherent sequence of skill acquisition. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that. But that's important. You just can't throw classes up there. It has to be with intention to develop that skill acquisition. They must be aligned to high wage, in demand, and high skill occupations that are projected for the Gulf Coast region in Texas for the next 30 years. So every 2 years, as it says in the black box at the bottom, career and technical education is required to undergo a comprehensive local needs assessment that is a really deep dive into the programs we're offering. Where are the jobs projected to be? Are they jobs that offer our students the ability to make a wage that is higher than the average wage? And those are the kinds of things that we have to look at. We look at our business partners. It's a really deep dive into everything that makes CTE programs effective. And that happens every 2 years. I'll be undergoing that work in the spring.
Is that required by?
It is required for federal Perkins funding. And so in order to get our Perkins grant, which is an annual grant that comes federally, every 2 years they require all of these narratives and all of this data from our programs. And then state funding for career and technical education is directly tied to student participation. So you're funded based on how many students you have in each program of study and at what level of class the students are taking, because the introductory classes are more exploratory. The content is of a lower level, designed to expose students to the industry. But as students move along through the courses, now they're getting into really the knowledge and skills that belongs to that program of study. They have the opportunity to earn multiple industry certifications. And then the area that we've been intentionally focused on over the past few years, and quite frankly, it's the area that I think sets us apart from many of our peers, and that's the intentional work that we're doing with work-based learning and the work-based learning continuum. So I've chosen a program of study as an example, just so that you can get used to the terminology. So we have 14 career clusters in Texas. So every job that's out there, they've divided those occupations into these occupational clusters. Health sciences, for example, is one. And it ranges from all kinds of technicians, whether it's a radiology technician or an x-ray technician or a whatever, sonograms, whatever kind of Technicians are out there. Also, it goes into nursing, then it goes into things that require an associate's degree. Some just require a certification, some require a bachelor's degree, and some areas require professional degrees beyond that. And yet all of those occupations would fall under the health science career cluster. So in arts, audio, video, technology, and communications, in Tomball we offer 2 programs of study. So you can think of it as arts and audio, video, technology, and communications as being the chapter, and then these are the little program offerings within that. So in AV technology, here's our sequence of course. Instead of calling them 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th, the state has them calling them level 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's with intention, so that if for some reason students had some conflicting elective priorities, maybe they were, as we discussed earlier tonight, they're in 9th grade, but they need to finish that Spanish 2 credit. They also play some kind of a sport, and they are a fine arts kid. You can see in that scenario, all 3 of their electives would have been taken up. And so they may be a sophomore, but needing to take a lower level class. Or they may spend a couple of years in one of our programs like culinary arts, and then they discover their junior year, this is a really tough way to make a living, I want to change. And so the state really doesn't want the kids to be hampered by the perception that now I'm a junior or I'm a senior and I got to go into a sophomore class. So that's the reason that they're labeled like that. The state defines the entry point. All 9th graders would start at level 1, but if you are in a grade level beyond 9th, then the state tells us the entry point that's required. In this case, for this program of study, this would be level 2. You got to have audio video production 1 before you can have 2. And then potential outcomes for students that are immersed in this program of study would include opportunities to earn an industry certification in Adobe, in Adobe Premiere and Adobe After Effects. All of our programs of study have at least 2 opportunities for students to earn real-world industry certifications. These are not tests that are under control by us in Tomball. This comes from, it's called the Tri-Agency Initiative. So this is the Texas Workforce Commission, the Higher Education Coordinating Board, and the Texas Education Agency. And together they vet those certifications and tell us what is of high value to our students. As we look at the way that courses progress in Tomball ISD, you'll notice that in 7th grade, it's going to be general employability skills, hopefully, after tomorrow night. But that is the class that all of our 7th graders take in Tomball ISD. It starts out with All About Me. It starts out with different kinds of puzzles, personality tests, so that they're doing interest inventories, aptitude tests, and based on their own unique characteristics, it starts to align possible occupations that play on the strengths that the student inherently has. So some of that focus of that class is, how do my unique skills align with potential jobs out there in the labor market? So you can see that in 7th grade, it's about self-awareness, career and self-awareness. Let me also say, because it came up a little bit tonight, that full year class will make sure that all of our students, instead of it being a semester class and luck of the draw as to which semester you get it, it'll ensure that all of our kids have developed a draft of their high school 4-year plan prior to course selection, and it will also ensure that we are able to do resume writing, mock interviews, business communication, cover letters with those students to take them beyond the basic keyboarding skills that so many of them are coming to us in 7th grade with. But 7th grade is defined by self-awareness, career and self-awareness. Notice that when you get into the 8th and 9th grade classes, these are the general classes designed to help students explore that career and industry. Those are called exploration classes. And then when they get into the level 2 and 3 classes, this is learning skills for work. So there's learning about work, there's learning for work, and this is where they get those industry certifications, and it culminates in the senior year at a practicum level, learning through work. And this is where we want them out in some kind of work-based learning experience. Examples of work-based learning will vary and will be something that is pretty low level, like a field experience. I really work hard with my teachers to have them call it field experience and not field trips. Kindergartners go on a field trip to the zoo and they just go to have fun. On a field experience, I'm going to take my architecture kids there. We're going to have done something on the front end to prepare us for what we're going to see. The kids will be taking measurements, data samples while we're there, and then they will come back and do something with it. And yet the examples in red are relatively low level, low impact work-based learning experiences. As we get into more robust opportunities, these are job shadows. You guys probably have seen the work that we're doing with National Job Shadow Day on Groundhog Day each year. I think that's clever, the way that it rolls out nationally. The groundhog sees or doesn't see their shadow. And on Job Shadow Day, this is where we send our juniors and seniors out to have intentional job shadow experiences. We're already working with our advisory board on some of the things that we can intentionally set up for kids to do on Job Shadow Day. This is where students will do clinical rotations. This occurs at the junior level. And then you're probably familiar with some of our school-based enterprises, whether that is the veterinary grooming or the floral design or our wonderful fabrication lab in graphic design. But the most impactful experiences in work-based learning are really along with internships, on-the-job training, and apprenticeships. And we've worked really hard to provide these opportunities, not only for our students, but also for our teachers. So during the month of June, they're called Teacher Tuesdays, and our business partners host our CTE teachers for the day with the intention of having the teachers understand what kinds of skills they can now bring back to their classrooms. There's a short video on here about our Summer Youth Employment Program. This is our partnership with the Tomball Economic Development Corp. This is a video.
I think you just hit one click. Yep.
Employment program through my high school. And I mean, really the opportunity just sort of fell into my lap that it all happened to work out that way. You know, now I can go and I can, apply for work in the medical field, and I can say, well, I worked at an urgent care, summers, and I have like all of this experience. I go in with a practical knowledge that other people in my medical classes won't have. I've been there for procedures and they haven't. And so I can go in, with that under my belt, with that knowledge, with that understanding of what I'm capable of, that sort of, puts me ahead academically. I think that this program is such a special opportunity. The people that I've met, the interactions that I've had, the experience that I've gained, and I've met so many fantastic people. And I'm so proud to have been at some point considered their peer and at some point considered their coworker. And I want to give them all a big hug and tell them how thankful I am that I've gotten this opportunity. I feel I have a confidence and I have a way, about myself now that I didn't have before. And I'm just so thankful.
This is Marcy. Marcy was a junior last year, so she's a senior this year at Tomball Memorial High School. And she is one of the student interns that was interviewed by that clinic here in Tomball. We work with the kids on resumes. We get them coached up and ready for what in most cases is their first job interview, and they're really nervous. And then the business hires them. The nice thing is it is grant funded through the Tomball Economic Development Corp, and the students are paid $15 an hour. So these skills align with what they're learning in CTE classes. It has been so super successful over the past 2 summers that the board will vote on next week to potentially expand the program to year-round and fund even more paid internships for our students that are aligned with their career fields. So, great example of internships and the power of that. And I noticed earlier when we were talking about the boys that had developed the program with the eyes, they had talked about they had been at a job shadow. Did you catch that? They'd been at a job shadow last year, and that's how they were partly inspired. So we just don't know the experiences that will cause these kids to consider something that they may have never otherwise considered.
Employment program.
Okay, we have some changes in accountability in the way that CTE data is going to be measured. This started 2 years ago. And this year, with our graduates that we will walk across our stages in May, these are our class of 2026 kids. Now, in order to receive full credit, our students must have successfully passed at least one industry-based certification, or IBC, and been designated as a completer in their aligned program of study. So it's a really high threshold. We knew this was coming, and we wanted to begin incentivizing our seniors. You know, sometimes they are a little bit squirrely and ready to get, on to life after high school. So we wanted to make sure that they were aware of the opportunities that we had for them. And Dr. Webb shared that over 37% of our seniors last year, which was kind of our baseline year, already had passed at least one IBC and completed their program of study. So we definitely want to grow from there, and those kids were awarded a really nice honor cord to wear at graduation.
Carla, definition of completer, that's all 4?
Okay, thank you, John. So in order to be a completer, the state says you must have had at least 3 aligned CTE courses within the program of study for at least 4 credits. So you've got to get into a course that eventually is worth 2 credits, a double blocked. In other words, the classes that are at the higher end of the intensity on that scale. And so at least 3 classes for at least 4 credits, including at least 1 level 3 or 4. So it's 3, 4, 3, 4. And we've been working with the teachers on that. That was new for us a couple of years ago. But our CTE counselors that work with our students at the high schools have really been working so that kids know during course selection in January, John, you are almost there. You just need 1 more credit, or you need 2 credits, or whatever it is. And look at what is going to happen as a result of that. Okay, this is the implementation, kind of take you through some highlights of where we've been. So in 2021, this was 6 years ago now, we began having all of the 7th graders take the CCE class at the junior high level so that the conversation regarding interest inventories, aptitude tests, programs of study, that was all governed by CTE teachers, and we could have those conversations at a really great, rich level. And then we also in 2021 aligned our Jumpstart classes, high school credit classes, aligned to programs of study, offered at grade 8. We added 3 new programs of study: audio-visual production, game and app development, and robotics. In 21-22, we added the dual credit electrical technology program at Lone Star Creekside. And We added at least one IBC opportunity in every program of study. In 22-23, we started our aviation pilots program, our cybersecurity program. Our graphic design fabrication lab was initially at Tomball Memorial, and then we moved that equipment over to the new lab at the Innovation Center. We started law enforcement and legal studies, and we started our Teacher Tuesdays externship program running through the month of June. In 23-24, that's when our agricultural mechanics project show was instituted at the FFA project show. We opened the law enforcement facility inclusive of our wonderful state-of-the-art Virtua simulators. We opened our Innovation Center 911 call center. That is one of the industry certifications available to our law enforcement students. We opened our Innovation Center courtroom, where we've been lucky enough to have Judge Goodwin come in the spring and hold his teen traffic court in there, and we've already been in touch to align some dates for next spring. We also opened our beautiful Tomball Agricultural Center, sitting at the very back of the Innovation Center. And we opened our Academy of Healthcare, Tomball Academy of Healthcare, our first P-Tech program at Tomball Star Academy. And 23-24 was also the year that we instituted our Groundhog Job Shadow Day. In 24-25, we opened the Tomball High School Agricultural Center. We had dual credit electrical technology split out and became a 2-year program for our students, enabling them to get another year of electrical training. We opened our aviation pilots program with those wonderful state-of-the-art simulators at our Innovation Center. We moved our graphic design fabrication lab for level 3 and 4 students in graphic design to the Tomball Innovation Center. We hosted our first horticulture project show at our annual FFA project show. We offered our students dual credit business management, and boy did they jump on board with that. We instituted a barbecue team at Tomball Memorial High School and had success right off the bat. And then we began our summer youth employment program over the summer, which is that paid internship program. In 25-26, we added dual credit business law because our dual credit business management had been so successful. We offered 2 dual credit agriculture classes in partnership with Tarleton. We, have a cohort of aviation maintenance students that are in level 1, and they are excited. And we instituted robotics, became not just an after-school club, but now, because it's underneath the CTE umbrella, it is co-curricular. And we also added JROTC and LOTC. So we've been busy.
Yes. We've been very busy. The framework of CTE has expanded and has grown significantly. This is a graph of the increase in the enrollment of grades 7 through 12 students that are currently enrolled in CTE. This graph represents a 60% increase from 2018 to 2019 in the number of students participating in CTE courses, from just under 6,000 students to over 9,000 students in 1 year. In addition to the growth in enrollment and the growth of programs of study, again 170%, we've also added a CTE Ag Coordinator. We've added a CTE counselor at both Tomball High and Tomball Memorial. These counselors have been vital in helping us build out our programs of study. They've been essential for the recruitment and for the retention of students in the programs of study. And then in 24 and 25, we were able to add a CTE work-based learning specialist that focuses on those externships, those work-based sites and internships. This is just a visual to show the comparable clusters offered at both of our comprehensive high schools. So you can see the numbers are not as important as the distribution of the bar. We have about an equal number of participants at each of the high schools in each of our CTE clusters. Right, this last component of the presentation is CTE future visioning. Our future visioning is not constrained by a lack of innovation. It's not constrained by a lack of ability or a desire to continue to build our CTE programs, but we are coming off a period of almost 10 years in which we increased 170% our programs of study. We are constrained in our future visioning of the program by the available dollars and also by the number of students that are available. So CTE funding is generated based on a weighted formula. The minimum amount of weight are students that are in non-sequence class. These are kids that take a course or two and not necessarily in a coherent sequence or in or complete a program of study. The funding rate increases for kids in level 2, and then it's maxed out for kids in level 3. Funding generated by CTE weights, there is a regulation requirement that we then return 55% of that funding and we reinvest it back into our CTE programs. The other 45% of funding can be allocated to the general fund and then allocated for general operations. But we have a 55% spend requirement on CTE programs from the CTE weighted funding. The weighted funding allowable expenses are equipment, consumables, our IBCs, and our transportation that's required within CTE. So as well as staffing and salaries. From 2010 to 2017, we saw a rapid increase in our overall student enrollment. However, we only had 10 programs of study. We did not have the infrastructure in place from 2010 to 2017 to meet the 55% spend requirement. As a result, finance allocated the difference between what we were spending and the 55% threshold into what's called a CTE restricted fund balance. This is very different than a general fund balance. The goal is never to have a CTE restricted fund balance. The goal is to be able to bring in the money that is generated from CTE revenue and then spend 55% of that money back into the programs that same year. But for a period of time, we were experiencing rapid growth in enrollment, but we didn't have the infrastructure to invest in. So around this graph only goes back to 2020, but it could go back as far as 2017. The goal has been to reinvest money for those years in which we weren't meeting our threshold. So before 2017, the goal has been a spend down. The goal, again, is not to retain a fund balance in CTE. It is very different than the general fund balance. So we've been very successful in that. In that 170% increase in programs of study, you can see the impact of the spending on equipment, on materials, on our counselors, on our work-based specialists. The money has been well invested and we see the results, but I think it's very important to understand that the CTE restricted funding will not be a long-term funding source for our district. The growth that you've seen since 2017, and then we'll walk you through 2030, has been based on 6 funding sources. Again, the CTE restricted fund combined with Bond 2017, 21, and 25. The CTE fund that we generate funding each year, and then also the Perkins grant. But it's very important to understand for moving into the future, once we complete the spend down of the CTE restricted fund, and once Bond 2025 is complete, the future funding sources for our program will be the CTE fund and then the federal Perkins grant. So in addition to constraints based on the available dollars, we will also have constraints based on students. So we have very strong clusters in the area of ag sciences, business, healthcare, or health science, and culinary. 61% of our students in CTE participate in 4 career clusters. So well over half of our students in CTE are participating in our top 4 career clusters. That represents, again, another way you could look at it is 61% of our students in CTE are participating in 11 programs of study. Yet we have 27 programs of study. So this is next year's projected 9th grade class. 1,781 9th grade students. If 61% of those students are enrolled in the top 4 career clusters, then next year that will only allow, then the difference is 695 9th grade students distributed among the 16 programs of study. Now this number is going to be even lower than the number that you see on the screen. I did this just to make a point. So of course, not every single freshman is enrolled in CTE. About 85% of our freshmen will be enrolled in CTE, which is a very high number, but not 100%. So this number is if 100% of kids were going to enroll in CTE, we would only have just 700 kids distributed among the other 16 programs of study or the other 10 clusters. So our constraint with future visioning is the availability of funding, but then do we have enough kids to continue to build additional programs of study when we already have increased our 170%? The CTE future, or the future of CTE really runs a parallel path with the remodeling of Warehouse 7 at the Innovation Center. Warehouse 7 is really the last remaining undeveloped warehouse space that we have. The construction on this space will start in summer of 2028. Part of the CTE visioning from now until 2032 is we had our opening class of the Tomball Academy of Healthcare opened in 23-24. Our first graduating class will be next year. 26-27, we have near 100 students that are participating in this P-TECH. Next year, we will open up our second P-TECH at TAFE, our Tomball Academy of Future Educators. And then we will graduate our first graduating class from TAFE in 2029-2030. Our third P-TECH, and this is the first time that you are hearing of the development of our third P-TECH, will be the Tomball Academy of Cybersecurity. Currently, our tentative business partner with the Tomball Academy of Cybersecurity would be Willowbrook Methodist Hospital. They have a very strong and robust cybersecurity department at the hospital, as all hospital networks do. And right now, our tentative partner for Tomball Academy of Cybersecurity would be Sam Houston State University, because they are the only university in the state that's authorized to award an associate's degree in cybersecurity.
Interesting.
Our first graduating class would be 2030, 2032.
Hey, Dr. Webb.
Yes.
I need to go back to that slide for a second. Can you walk through the current partners and the proposed partners one more time?
For Tomball Academy of Cybersecurity?
Yeah, just do all three.
All three. So Tomball Academy of Healthcare, our partner is Lone Star College and HCA Tomball Hospital. Tomball Academy of Future Educators, our partners are Lone Star College, and actually Tomball ISD is the business partner. The Tomball Academy of Cybersecurity, the Institute of Higher Education partner, this tentatively would be Sam Houston State University. And tentatively, our business partner would be Houston Willowbrook Methodist.
Thank
you.
you.
We mentioned briefly earlier this evening in the course proposals the relocation of the electrical training program from Lone Star Creekside to the Tomball Innovation Center. So we have completed our initial plans for this transfer of the program, the transfer of the equipment, as well as the transfer of the instructor. Dr. Zamora has met with Dr. Nutt, and we are finalizing all agreements right now.
Let me just add a little bit of commentary to that. Part of the rationale for us is a big win because we don't have students on the road every day for this program. They have more instructional time. But basically, Lone Star is doing a reconfiguration, and the Creekside is no longer going to be a part of Tomball. So Leanne is losing that. It's going to another entity. She is picking up the Magnolia, which will likely become a partner of sorts in the future. through another program, which is HVAC, and we'll talk more about that later. However, that was part of that. She asked if we had interest. Obviously, we have a lot of interest. So we're working through with Holly to make sure that the agreement covers everything. Their equipment and teacher, our campus, and benefit to our kids. Really excited about it.
So Martha, in the inaugural year or two of the electricians program we had, our enrollment or our make, if you will, was less than.
It was a
what
little,
we're
it started off slower than we thought. However, the interest has picked up and the kids are, I think the word is out. And so the kids that are enjoying it are really enjoying it and telling others. We're up to, is it 20 now?
We're up to 42. if you count
Oh,
all
total.
levels.
Okay. But this last class was the biggest
Yes.
class. So think about that, 42 kids and counting that are getting some incredible, exceptional experience.
And they will depart Tomball ISD with what in hand?
What is the
They-
name of the
with-
certificate?
A level 1 certificate, what's the IBC that they have?
The IBC that they leave with?
It's called an occupational skills certificate.
Occupational Skills Certificate, OSC.
Get that after their first year, and then they get a level 1 certificate.
Okay.
Which is one of the outcomes that we're measured on through CCMR.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to make a point, Dr. Pratt, is that part of the barrier to recruiting students over there has been transportation, not student interest.
Okay.
And so we really feel good about building this out to a true 4-year program of study, and having the kids able to take our existing shuttle buses over to the.
Yeah, I have always wanted more for this program. I was always scratching my head as why is the make rate so low? So I'm excited to see.
Can we get you to come up to the mic? Can we get you to, I'm sorry, I just want everyone to be able to hear this, and if either of you are going to speak, come to a mic.
Still in play now is that there's a cap put on by the college system of no more than 15 in their lab. So this is our first year. We actually had to do a lottery, and some students were not able to attend. But now that we're a 2-year program, they have more sections, and so we have plenty of kids for the spots that we have.
So will we have to cap the lab?
It would all be based on the number of applicants that came in, because we're basically just taking that lab. But with, at Warehouse 6, at Building 6, we have a beautiful classroom that the students can also participate in. And that professor, I know him really well, he works great with kids. He would be able to have some students in the classroom at a time and then have kids in the lab. Yeah, right outside, yep.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Carla.
So, but this program doesn't result in an associate's degree? It's
No,
just an
dual
IBC?
credit, But it wouldn't go all the way to an associate's.
They could continue through Lone Star upon graduation. And they more than likely would after being in it 2 years.
Towards the
at a
master
time.
electrician certificate.
Okay. But this one's not, it's not a P-TECH.
No.
And so is there there's 2 years, but that's in their senior year? Is there still a 4-year, level 4 classes?
One of the classes that we propose tonight will be the level 2 class. We have a class that is existing in the program of study or in our course catalog here in Tomball that would become the level 1.
Okay.
Both of those courses can be taught by agriculture teachers because it falls under the environmental and natural resources.
Okay.
But the kids get their industry certification in this. They get the OSC, Occupational Skills Certificate, which is recognized when they're going to be on a job site as an apprentice, and then they get their level 1 certificate. They can continue to finish out the program through Lone Star, or they can go get a job. And we've got business partners in that are in the electrical industry that are really, well, it's all the skills trade, right? They want kids that have demonstrated interest in that career strand, and they've been in there for a couple of years, and they're ready to be on the job site and working their way.
Well, and a lot of jobs though, right? There's a lot of jobs that are out there that don't necessarily need to be in this industry, right? We were talking earlier about a particular
Correct.
manufacturer. Well, they've got all kinds of electronic equipment. And so they need someone who's doing the maintenance on all of that equipment. Anyone that's got any kind of robotic line or an assembly line, they're going to have all kinds of electronic stuff.
So there are some gateway skills that the kids are for sure developing that are electrical adjacent rather than just becoming an electrician, correct? And the thing about this particular program is these kids are not taking English, math, science, history. They're not getting those core classes at the college level.
Right.
They are doing just the things to get them their industry certification and go to work.
Got it. Also at Warehouse 7, or actually electrical will start out at Warehouse 6, but Warehouse 7 also will be remodeled to house our P-Tech for cybersecurity by adding labs and classrooms to support this program. And then, again, like we referenced this evening with the course proposal, adding more co-curricular courses to retain students within the computer science and engineering principles program of study, but to also increase our participation in our competitiveness within robotics. So Warehouse 7 would also be a place for practice fields and high school build spaces. Fire and emergency services also would be a new program of study. This would complete the build out of our public service sector with legal services and law enforcement also at the Tomball Innovation Center. And then rounding out the reconfiguration and the remodeling of Warehouse 7 would be in 2030, 2032, a program for HVAC. Okay, the next piece of the future visioning for CTE would be the...
Hey, Dr. Webb, hold up, if you don't mind. Okay, so 27 programs, fantastic. We've got 61% clustered in 4 clusters, 11 programs. I'm going to flip it on you a little bit. While we have added the programs, are there any that are aging, not popular, which will then free up capacity to invest in some of the newer ones, which could then potentially bring the roadmap in on Fire and Emergency Services HVAC program of study?
Yes. So currently, right now, our program of study for robotics does not make. The competing interest for robotics is computer science and engineering principles. It's also a weighted pathway. So many of our students that compete in FIRST robotics are in computer science and engineering principles, not in the robotics program of study. The next one is game and app development, has been pretty anemic over the years.
Yeah.
And also the competing interest is computer science. We also have great teachers in computer science, and that's attracting more of the students that also would be attracted to game and app development. The third is high wage, high interest, and high demand, but I believe that our facilities is the reason that we do not have increased enrollment, and that is construction. So construction is in direct competition with welding, in which we have beautiful new facilities. But construction, I believe we could grow, and I believe and that would be central to the redevelopment of Kiefer Street. But those are 3 programs of study right now that have low enrollment.
So, discussion for another day, but we're developing some competence here. Certainly having the facility is a big factor here. If we recognize, hey, construction is not our thing, that we relegate that to the Texas State Technical College out of Waco, and that's where it's just something we wanted to do, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't fit. But we opt for something that does fit. I guess I'm hung up on 2031 being HVAC when I know, based upon the market, the regional needs, HVAC is a high demand job, high paying, high wage. So help me with how we could reprioritize, what is it, 2031? That means it's 2025. That's
6 years.
That's 6 years from now on the academic calendar. And I'm not being critical, I'm just like, we can solve this another day, but I don't understand
Well, I think
that.
the first factor is the construction of Warehouse 7 to house this program would not even be able to start until the summer of 2028. So you're looking at least 12 months for remodeling of the warehouse.
So really, it's looking at how soon after that could we, after 2028. So it is kind of a continual conversation
Yeah.
for sure.
And I
to
don't want
look
to
at-
solve it tonight. I just
Yeah,
think that we've talked about HVAC for
Several years.
many years.
Yeah.
And if we realize that we can't do gaming apps and we can't do construction and rip and replace and go with something that we, feel is going to have a higher make rate would be my input.
Thank you. No, we've noted that. And knowing that once we get that warehouse completed, then we're sitting different.
I don't mean to complicate things, but along those lines, I mean, we were just talking about the electrical program, right? Well, there's a lot of overlap between an electrical program and HVAC. So is there synergies there, or are they completely separate pathways that can't ever cross?
They're separate, and their programs are studied.
They separate then.
Carla, can you come up to the mic, please? I know you have a loud voice, but we can't pick it up on the mic. Thank you.
Not only are electrical tech and HVAC separate, HVAC itself has two separate strands. So it's got the residential side and it's got the commercial side. Magnolia ISD, in partnership with Lone Star College, just is putting in and opening an HVAC facility down the road. It's not exactly convenient because it's a little, you got to get into Magnolia. But the nice thing is they're figuring it out right now. So we could look at that and look at the prerequisite coursework, maybe at level 1, level 2, kind of gauge student interest, and then see where we are with that, and maybe even, is it possible to share a facility with the Magnolia Center, since that is under Dr. Nutt and Lone Star Tomball?
And I've already started that conversation.
Beautiful.
So we've met, she knows, timing is everything. She needs to get control of it, give us the electrical, gain control of that, and then we'll see. So it definitely is in conversation in two ways.
Yeah.
And she's happy to. It's just going to be a little rough with logistics initially.
Yeah.
So there is the potential that we could speed up the timeline.
A little, yes. Definitely.
That kind of a shared arrangement would definitely work with us on a cost side, because it is, to do residential and commercial is expensive equipment, but we can see.
Right, so the second piece of expansion would be looking at the remodel of Kiefer Street location, where the construction also would start in the summer of 2028. Here is where we believe that we can get a foothold on construction technology and begin to offer the equipment, the material, and the experiences that would attract students back to this program of study. Then we are continuing with what you heard in Bond 2020-25 is remodeling the gymnasium for esports, which is on tap to be a UIL sport very soon. Or now. It's now. It's a UIL sport. In addition, at Kiefer Street, in close proximity to the Tomball ISD Tech Department, this proposal is to begin a program of study in information technology support and services program of study that would include computer maintenance and networking, also in 2030-31. And then this last component is, we are calling it CTE Future Study. So what we have laid out in the visioning, we believe that we'll have the infrastructure and the ability to deliver. Well, in addition though, we have additional areas in which we are studying. So this first would be a collaborative learning space with a regional service center. This is the backside of warehouse 7, you see an awning that already is there, and then a rendering of what a collaborative space could look like, also at warehouse 7, outward facing to the community.
Let me have a quick conversation on this. I received a phone call from Dr. Rodney Watson, the Executive Director of Region 4. He has been watching the work that we've done in the area of virtual reality and artificial intelligence. As a matter of fact, is sending a team over to our trains, Tomball Roundtable AI Symposium, and pretty much said we're going to have a meeting coming up, Dr. Webb, myself, Dr. Schinderwolf, and Rodney and some of his staff. And we're really looking at the region giving the district money so that we could become a site for other districts to also. We would be able to utilize it, build out something, but when it's not being utilized, have other districts come and learn from this one piece, this resource. Dollars that we don't have available to us, that they would help us build something like this out. So we have a meeting coming up. Basically just him letting me know he has a significant amount of money and would like to invest. Now, let me tell you, this is kind of full circle, because if you recall, in a conversation with Mike Morath, I asked that he come to see the site. And at the time, he didn't have money. But I've continued to harp when we have our commissioner's cabin and whatnot. And so I believe there was a conversation potentially between he, who supervises the regional service centers, and Dr. Watson. I won't know all of that till we have our meeting, but I think it might be a full circle. At the time, he said, I support it, but currently don't have the funds. So we'll see. That's something to come. We don't have the dollars for this, but if they do, we're happy to build it and share the greatness of Tomball. So I just wanted to add that.
How is this any different than any other collaborative learning space we have? in the district?
It would focus on AI and VR, and we don't have anything like that in the district that just focuses on that.
So it has hardware in there, computer hardware that's for that?
It'd be a
Virtual
demonstration space
Yeah.
for the service center, but actually a classroom for our students. We would use it on a daily basis, and then they would rent it out or under some type of agreement, use it as a demonstration site for virtual reality types of environments, headsets. Right, our second area of future study is automotive youth educational system. So this is a partnership with the local car dealership to enhance technical skills, accelerate employability, and offer externship opportunities to our next generation of service technicians. This meeting also is going to be within the next 2 weeks.
Yes, part of this was just looking at limited dollars, limited space, but knowing that this is something we've talked about that I personally think would be nice if we can offer this. The days of when you could just build something, right? The lift for the vehicle, have all of the equipment that you need, those days are gone. Now it's very technical based, it's very computer based. That's expensive. And so for us to basically build that would spend a lot of money that we don't currently have. My thought, I have approached a local individual, Larry, we all know Larry, who has not only auto mechanics but diesel mechanic opportunities. I feel as if we can be their workforce, their pipeline of employment. Let us figure out a way where we can have a teacher on site and our students learn on your equipment. Or would you like to sponsor something on our site? We'll find some limited space. But I know there's partnership opportunities. It's just knocking on the right door and getting the yes, or continuing to ask until you do.
All right, our third and final area of future study is a collaboration with the local solar energy provider to enhance our electrical program. We're excited about possible a solar energy provider in Tomball ISD to expand externships, help enhance our CTSOs in the area of elective.
My apologies, Dr. Webb. I meant to show you some of the photos that I took, but recently had the I think she might be an owner. She definitely runs most of it. Very young lady from, I think it's Cambodia, but I could be wrong. She took a red eye to come to have this meeting. I was extremely impressed with Imperial Star and everything that they're doing. Their solar chips, solar pieces they are the prime distribution center for Tesla. as I saw just a warehouse filled with boxes, I was just like questioning, what is this? And basically someone leaned over and said, money. That's money, because those have all been purchased. Just lines and lines all the way up to the top of solar panels for homes, solar panels for businesses, for vehicles, right in our backyard. So I really want to figure out a way. We've already talked about summer program. They're ready. They want our kids in there. They need a workforce. By language, they said they would like Mandarin, Spanish, and then English by preference of languages that are spoken. Interesting. You walk in there, it's very, very diverse. Probably exactly how they described it. There's everything from a need for engineers currently to students that want to learn this as a trade, as a skill, and to work up within. They have ways to work up within their pipeline of employment. Very, very excited about this. Imperial Star.
All right, and that brings us to the end. Are there questions that we can answer?
So Michael, one of the pictures that you showed right after you were talking about Kiefer Street and enhancing the construction pathway. You had a picture of that one. You've got 2 pictures up there of surveying. Talk to me about that a little bit. I know we had some starts and stops with surveying, so where are we going with that right now?
So within the information technology support and services, within that program of study, the menu of courses that the state lets us choose from in development of the level 1 through 4 courses include courses that could be in GIS and would support the development of those skills, as well as computer maintenance and networking. And because of the proximity with the Tomball, our own technology department, that is a natural, that's a natural partnership.
Okay.
We are still, the state has now moved GIS over and fully adopted coursework in that. So they're still fleshing that out and trying to get it developed. But there's not a lot there yet. Like right now, it's just kind of the name of the course as a placeholder, and they're not quite ready. Now, that could change tomorrow, because in CTE, things are like an Easter egg hunt sometimes. And it wasn't there the day before, and then the next day, boom, something is there. So I know that there's work ongoing with the stakeholders in GIS to make sure that there's robust coursework there. It's just not there yet for us to choose, which is why it makes a great program potentially for the future, because by then we would be able to latch on to not only coursework that other folks are doing, and so then you're fleshing out instructional resources, textbooks, curriculum, that kind of stuff. But so you're able to do that and really kind of get some good ideas from somebody that's kind of gone down the road a little bit ahead of you. But that, by choosing that program of study, it lets us pivot in any of those directions.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, we've heard the doomsday coming for the surveying industry, that they're going to retire out. And it should be a great opportunity for students. But, okay. Still waiting on the state for that one, huh?
We are, and the partners too, quite frankly. Remember, we had a beautiful event a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And after we had that beautiful event, we didn't get any real follow-up, real meaningful, we're ready to do this kind of follow-up.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on our end. So
Yeah.
I just think it's something that is evolving. Yes.
On the future visioning slide, I guess I had clicked on that and there was like maybe it was an older document on the future visioning. It had something on there about cosmetology, and I was just going to ask the backstory on, was that ruled out?
So I think that if there was an old list underneath of there, that may have been things that we had considered. and the advisory board had considered 6 years ago. I will tell you that cosmetology is not something that I can recommend for a number of reasons. It's hugely expensive because every person has to have their own station with the plumbing for one man, one station. Additionally, the kids can't earn any hours. You basically have to have a teacher that's there after school running that lab where the community can come in and on Saturdays, or the kids can't earn any hours. But most importantly, there's been a national study that was just released within the last few weeks that talks about it not being a living wage in cosmetology, that students are graduating from cosmetology school, which in many cases is a proprietary school, right? It's a for-profit institution. And so they're graduating with that debt, and then they're making less than $20 an hour. And they highlighted different areas throughout the country. One of the students that they profiled, that's the situation that she was in, but she was working at a salon inside of a Walmart, and after her full-time 40-hour job at the salon in the Walmart, she stayed afterwards to stock the shelves because she couldn't make it otherwise. And so really, for multiple reasons, as I talk to other CTE directors that are doing cosmetology, it's not something that I can recommend.
It's hard to imagine considering what I know we pay for haircuts and such in Tomball. The other question I had was the federal Perkins program. Is that in any way under the Department of Education?
It was moved. It was under the Department of Education. It's now been moved to, I think, the Department of Commerce is going to run that.
Thank you.
Because it's tied to labor market workforce development, they wanted to ensure that those dollars kept flowing.
Hey, the only thing for our next conversation, if you could bring some data, what's the Texas Workforce Commission think of jobs of the future, if that's the right source? What's the Houston Business Journal think? I kind of was missing, I don't have an aversion to anything you have on the roadmap.
With the requirement to do the comprehensive local needs assessment in the spring, the state will be providing the district all of that data for the Gulf Coast region, and then I can get the data from the TEDC.
Yeah, I would like to see, is there anything else that's popping, and then have the conversation about what if, what's possible.
Yeah.
This was fantastic.
So
Thank you
we
for
have
putting
met.
this together.
Thank you. They've done a great job. We've met with the EDC, with various members locally, but what Carla's talking about, we'll share that information once we receive something, because that's more of a state level.
It's obvious you guys have gotten feedback from your committee.
Yes.
And you've concluded this. I just am not with you on what the demand is, and we've talked about making sure our CT program is fitting our regional needs. I just need to understand what are our regional needs.
And one of the ones that's at the top of the list, Dr. Pratt, is construction. I continue to get questions about construction, and then it's also masonry and piping and plumbing and everything that kind of goes along with construction. And when I was asked to look at data and make some recommendations for not only Building 7, but the Kiefer Street facility, and what are the programs that I felt like we really needed to move forward with, and I selected construction. Bob, of course, being the great devil's advocate, and he said, tell me what about our data supports the need to build a construction program, because we offer it to our students every year, and yet the student response to that is very anemic. I will tell you, it's very difficult to sell anything that is a skilled occupation. It's hard to get the kids and the parents to sign up for that. And yet, I think, like with aviation maintenance, we had 13 kids at Tomball High School sign up for it last spring. We had a conversation and we said, let's do it. let's get one cohort in there. Well, there's now 26 kids in there who are all having a great time. So I kind of feel like construction is the same way. It's kind of the field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. They know we don't have a teacher right now. They know we don't have a facility right now. But if we can cobble together some level 1 and 2 coursework, principles of architecture maybe, some drafting, while they're at the comprehensive high school before they're ready to get on a shuttle bus and come, where we're then building tiny homes and we're then doing some of this kind of stuff, I think it would go. I don't have more information to tell you than that, because the kids just don't sign up for it, but yet it is at the top of the high skill, high wage, high demand on every list.
So just my ask is, let's just talk through that data, and then I think pick a spot. If we can't do construction, then what's the next one down? What could we do? If we can't do that one, then what's the next? I just don't know what the data is saying on the top 15, and does what the path that we're on here, is that consistent with that, or are we missing something? I just want to be educated on what the data is saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a couple things. I guess one was, when we market the construction, are we marketing, I would think that would be anyone that's going to go into civil engineering, anyone that's going to go on to college, civil engineering, construction science, architecture. I would think that those kids would benefit from that just as well, right? So are we marketing it broadly enough?
I think so, John. But do remember that engineering is a weighted GPA. The entire strand is weighted because of the rigor of Project Lead the Way. So if a kid is interested at all in any of those affiliated areas, there's a good likelihood they're going to go engineering because it's a weighted strand.
Gotcha.
Our architecture programs are doing well, although not weighted. They're doing well. Our agricultural mechanics programs that are really just over the last couple of years breathing life into it. But the nice thing about ag mech as opposed to welding is the kids are actually building projects in there. And so they are doing some woodworking. They are building the deer stands. They are doing more than just weld. So I hope that based on that we can get there. But we all know there's no space at Tomball Memorial right now for a construction program. You know, we're trying to get more welders in there to serve the kids. Ditto Tomball West, you know, those kinds of things. It would have to be, I think, a program that served our upper level students.
Okay. The only other suggestion, kind of going back to what Michael was talking about, in your CTE course book, the catalog, if you will, you have all that data that's in there about how many of these jobs are going to be needed in the next 5-10 horizon, what's the amount of money that's associated with this degree. So maybe that's what, Michael, you'd like to see. I mean, if we're thinking about those areas, you're going to have to populate that at some point for your catalog. So maybe it's that.
I'll go read it. I didn't know it was in there.
It is. It's statewide labor market data.
I thought it was regional. No, it's statewide?
No, it's statewide. So that's what I always tell the kids. This information came from the state. And so you're having to account for West Texas and sparsely populated areas. So really, the average salaries for the Gulf Coast region are generally higher than that. But it's going to give you, based on how much education you're interested in pursuing, what are some of the fields associated with a certificate or an associate's degree, and what's the average annual salary, you know, the median.
That information is just wonderful that it's in that book. It's fantastic. So I guess anything that is coming forward to us, maybe that could be pre-populated so we can see what it might look like.
Any other questions for Dr. Z and the CTE program? Thank you very much.
Can I ask another question a little more generally, I guess? How is the input that you get from the CTE committee, the industry committee? It's a lot of people, 140-something. That's a huge committee. I mean, are you getting
It
good
is,
participation?
but each
and good
committee
feedback?
meets separately so that they can maximize their time. There's no use in having the teaching and training committee meeting with the architecture committee. So they're making industry recommendations based on that specific industry. And I think that we've been pleased with the level of conversations just continues to grow and grow, and we are really getting some good partnerships going. It is a process.
I'll add to that because being a part of, the beginning of that and then having the whole group luncheons, I recently, the most recent one I went to, Michael, you were there with me, was architect, construction, engineering, right? Loved we were at the Ag Barn, the show barn, and the dialogue was great, but it was also very well represented. There were a lot of people at the table, from our staff to industry partners to a little bit of, it was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed just focusing on versus just this whole concept. And the whole time was spent within their area. Carla, Bob, and others were doing a great job.
How often do they meet? Is it like a regular quarterly?
Quarterly, I believe,
We have the advisory
maybe,
committee
I don't
through the
know.
semester, one in the fall. And one in the
Okay,
spring.
so twice. Feels like it's more often, but really, really well attended. I was very pleased. Okay, thank you, Dr. Webb.
Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job.
Okay, that concludes the
Yes,
report.
sir.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll now proceed with any board comments. Do any of my fellow board members have any comments at this time before I seek a motion for adjournment?
So moved. Second.
A motion
That was
was made by
fast.
Mr. McStravick and seconded by Mr. White. And at this time, I will ask my fellow board members to raise their hand for all those that are in favor. Motion carries unanimously. The time is now
9:50.
9:50 PM Central. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.